Hey guys, I've been seeing a lot of May lately, and it is definitely a fun thing to see. The downside is that I'm seeing a lot of mistakes, and even on the forums, I'm starting to see a lot of people have a bunch of confusion about how reliable May's Engage is. I've been watching the competitive scene, and many of the top tanks are using May as a very reliable tank, but a lot of people in the lower ranks are considering her less reliable, especially the lower division teams aren't considering her very reliable. I'm here to show you that not only is she more reliable, but there's many mistakes that you guys are making, or that many of you guys could be making, and these are here to hopefully help you guys out. So let's start off with the first one, and it's more of a trap talent, and I hate using that as a trap talent, so I'm not even going to really consider this a mistake because balance isn't really done yet, and that's why I'm not going to give a build in these 4 mistake videos because balance might shift. But the number one thing is heavy pack. It's not really a full mistake, but this talent alone is reducing May's win rate across the board by a little over 0.5%. That's how low this win rate is compared to Ice Storm and Heat Transfer. And if you just take Ice Storm or Heat Transfer over Heavy Pack, you could see a 6% higher win rate just off of that alone. And it's not necessarily that Ice Pack is bad. I mean, if you land, increasing the duration of your slow is not a bad thing, and lowering the cooldown of your blind is also not a bad thing. The problem is that lowering the cooldown of your blind is tied to your blizzard, and if you're going to be landing great blizzards, it's better to go with Ice Storm because then you're doing a lot more damage, and this also gives you a little bit more wave clear. And if you're going to be doing a lot more slows more often, it would be better to just go with Heat Transfer, where this is going to allow you a lot more staying power in these team fights. So that is the first kind of half mistake. I'm not going to count it as a full mistake. The first full mistake is the incorrect usage of the combo. So the combo is known because of Cold Front. If May enters her own Blizzard while icing is active, the cooldown of icing is reduced by 8 seconds, which drops it from 14 seconds down to 6 seconds. And so that combo is known for that. Now, you don't actually have to take this talent. I generally take Crystallize, but one of the biggest mistakes for Mays is they play May without knowing how to do this combo. Now, you don't need to do this combo every single time. There are many times where I'll see an Illidan jump into my backline, and I'll just throw out something like this. I'll peel for my team, and then we'll blind Illidan so he can't get any more cooldowns off of that. It's a great peeling technique, and you don't actually need to do a perfect combo. Generally, what people think a combo is they'll max range a W, and then they'll throw an E in there, and then they'll knock the enemies, and they think that's the combo. But what often happens is when people do this combo, what's going to happen is that you're going to drop the blizzard down right here. Then as you're using your E to start moving towards this area, the enemy is then going to pick a direction to move, either this direction, or most commonly just directly away. Then when you hit them with your icing explosion, which should show up around here, what'll end up happening is that the enemies will get knocked over here, here, or here outside of your stun. And this is why the people on the forums and on Reddit say that this is unreliable, that any good player can get out of the stun and never get hit by a blizzard stun. However, if you actually watch some of the competitive players, they do this combo just a tad differently, and one very tiny change will make it to where you can effectively land this stun about 85 to 95% of the time, depending on the players and heroes that you're using it on. Heroes with escapes naturally are going to be able to get out easier, but heroes without escapes, you can land this stun about 95% of the time. The exceptions are just if enemies stun you on the way, or if the terrain makes it impossible to do it. But this one simple change is just this. Are you ready for it? And you're done. If you start the combo closer, then you'll have more time to see which direction the enemies are moving before using your icing. So you'll place down your blizzard, and then you get to watch and wait. So the blizzard will be placed down, and this time when the blizzard's placed down, if the enemy starts moving up in this direction, you can simply use the icing up into this direction and knock them back in. If they start running directly away, then you'll run the icing over in this direction, and if they start running down, same thing. Now the best part about this is because they're already slowed in the blizzard, if they start running this direction and you icing forward and they try to change directions, it's already too late and they will get hit by the stun, because it only gives you so much time to get out of the blizzard, which makes this an extraordinarily reliable way to land this combo every single time, or at least 95% of the time if the enemies don't have an escape. And I've been watching the most competitive players land this combo repeatedly on Grandmaster players in all regions at all levels of play. And this is the thing that kills me, is how reliable I've seen this combo is if you just start a little bit closer. And that's how you do the Blizzard combo correctly on Mei and reliably land this combo every single time. You're going to start closer, wait till they pick a direction, and knock them back in. And it's as simple as that, and you can do that every single time. You can follow up any of your Blizzards with a Snowblind to give a 35% slow for a little bit longer. And you can also potentially use it first to dismount them before you do this combo. But overall, that's how you do the combo. I generally recommend staying mounted and coming from a flank so that the enemies don't see that you're showing up, dropping down the blizzard, finding which direction they're going, and then knocking them back into the blizzard and going from there. It's very easy to do once you get the hang of it, and it's something that you can do very reliably. On to the next mistake is how people are using the ults incorrectly. And I'm going to say incorrectly light. I find that people are using these ults incorrectly 70% of the time. For Avalanche, I find most people use it as a gust. The problem is that they often use their escape to get in, where Falstad can jump down, gust, and then dash away and get extra movement speed on the way out. Mei uses up her escape, generally trying to get behind the enemies. So I see this happen often where a Mei will go in like this, avalanche the enemy tank into their team, and then they'll likely die to the 4-man that's right here. And the tank right here, if it's a Murden, just hops over this wall and survives. So it's a trade that isn't always beneficial. But what you could do instead is think of Avalanche as a really powerful cocoon. If you were to hit these two people right here, and let's assume that there's an extra person right here, you hit two of these, well, guess what? You just turn this into a 3v5, where your team is favored. And now you can force the fight using your basic combo, launching the enemies into this stun, and forcing that 5v3 while you've just essentially cocooned two of the enemies down here. So utilizing Avalanche as a cocoon is a much more reliable way to win team fights back to back. The problem that most people do is they think of this push duration as their best tool of Avalanche, but the best tool of Avalanche is actually just removing 1 to 3 people from the fight as you kill the rest of them that are available. And Mei's great for this because you can kill a couple people and you still have the potential to kill other people later, the next 14 seconds when you have your abilities back again. So you can still use your Avalanche in the form of a gust, but you need to make sure that it's the best thing to do in that time, because oftentimes if you catch someone alone instead of avalanching them to your team, it's sometimes better to just simply use your blizzard and your icing. With that being said, I want to talk about the mistake that people commonly make with the other ultimate ability. Once again, throwing in random talents just to get to here. Ice Wall takes too long to be used as an actual wall. It takes 0.75 seconds before the wall is actually created, and it also starts on one side and takes a little while before it moves to the other side. Nearly a full second from this side all the way over to this side, meaning that at the most it could take 1.75 seconds if you're trying to wall off a big location, something like this, or something even bigger. Which is why I generally just use it for a ley line, because you can combo off of your own ley line. You can freeze people right here, And then as you're waiting, you can drop down a W, and when they get out of this, they get stunned by the W. Keep in mind that the ice wall lasts for 2 seconds, or so they're trapped for 2.5 seconds, and this takes 2 seconds. So you need to wait 0.5 seconds to fire off your blizzard after they get hit by the ice wall. But you can't do it directly after 0.5 seconds because you might not be able to hit it, because remember, it takes 1 second to go through. So I generally like to wait until it's about 75% through the ice wall bar that you see underneath the hero. So you'll see this bar right underneath. I wait until it's about 75% and I throw out my W, and you can even knock someone in if you're worried that they might be a little too far over to the side. Following up once again with a snowblind can allow your team to win just about any fight. Now, one of the cool parts about this is it actually makes it to where Mei has one of the longest range engages in the game, seeing as she can engage with a hero this far away with her current kit. You can use the E this far, and then you can use your ice wall this far, and you can actually engage from so far away and then drop this in and still go by stunning them and keeping them near your team, making it to where if your team is fighting maybe a 2v2 in the solo lane and they're starting to get people low and you're a little far from the solo lane, you can actually go all the way up to the solo lane and land an amazing ice wall followed up by a blizzard, leading to one of the craziest engages you can see. Now, I don't generally recommend that. I like to save my icing to kind of reposition people to make sure that they get hit by that stun, or I like to use it after the stun is over. Potentially, I might want to go like this and just focus on this guy right here, and of course, he's going to get stunned in that, and then I might want to slow him for 35%, find out what direction he's going, and then slow him by 80% with something like an icing, and now that person's very, very dead. And so there are a lot of different techniques that you can do with Mei when it comes to that. The final mistake that I commonly see on Mei is that people play Mei at max range. She has a range of 4.5, putting her similar to many of the ranged heroes in the game. The problem with this is that if you play her at max range near your team, then if anything is aimed at you, it's going to deal damage to your team as well. Say a KT throws a flame strike. Well, now your whole team needs to dodge and you're going to take a lot of damage. Or maybe an ETC decides to go for a slide and hits your entire backline and yourself, goes for a mosh, and now you can't interrupt him because he's already there and he's already CCing you, which is why it's important to play at a closer range. If any abilities are aimed at you here, they're likely not going to be hitting your backline here. You can also play a little bit at a range over here, but keep that in mind that you won't be body blocking anyone that tries to run towards your team. So the biggest answer is to simply just utilize the fact that you could also be a melee hero if needed, and use that big body that you can use for body blocking, as Mei has a larger hitbox or unit radius than someone like Joanna, so it allows her to body block pretty well. So utilizing that and understanding to not just play at max range, because so many people just right click, which means that you're playing at max range. Make sure to click closer to the target so that your target stays closer. And also that comes back to the Blizzard combo mistake that we've seen earlier. It's generally easier to land these combos if you're closer, which means that again, the people that are complaining about combos being difficult to land are probably also making this mistake as well. Hopefully, these mistakes can help you to not make those mistakes anymore and push your Mei play a little bit further and start understanding why she has such a high win rate. And remember, that win rate's high even with people that are making these mistakes. So keep in mind, she could be sitting at a 60 to 65% win rate if you just play her correctly. With all of that being said, being the most chilly hero in the game, I do want to say one more time to head over to Chili Mountain if you like all esports content, particularly for Heroes of the Storm. They make different tournaments as well as they have a bunch of other really fun stuff. I highly recommend following their Twitch if you like following the competitive scene. They're the only competitive scene that is running in Korea right now, or at least the biggest one in Korea right now. So we can check out the highest levels of Korean play. And they've got some crazy metas as well. And then you can also join many of their events as they host events for all skill levels in multiple different games. So check them out at chilimountain.com, and thank you all for watching this video. If you like the 4 mistakes videos, I'm going to be making a few more of those, so feel free to check out the rest of my videos. Click that subscribe, that bell to get notified when more videos come out, and also feel free to check out any of the other videos that I currently have out. Thank you so much.